EJ, patience, my man. We're here. 11-1. So I apologize for being late. Blame it on Omar. Hi,
It
everyone.
is. It is my fault. It is my fault.
Um, well, it's also my being very loyal and not wanting to start without Omar. How's that? Does that make it better? Is that better?
You will never start without me.
Oh man, that's a dare if I ever saw one.
Hold on.
What?
I apologize. Let me figure out what I'm doing there. There we go. All right.
Okay, it's okay. We are live, as we said. It's episode 147 of the All Dolphins podcast. We're going to make it brief with our trip back in time. The first time around, the number 47 who was recognized was Glenn Blackwood, whose brother Lyle also was a member of the Dolphins. I'm going to go with a guy who here this time who only played one season for the Dolphins, but to me was a great human interest story. I would hope, Omar, that you know the name. I am talking about running back Robert Edwards. And here's the backstory for those not familiar. Robert Edwards was a first-round pick of the New England Patriots, who out of Georgia, who was great as a rookie, went to the Pro Bowl, and at the time they had a beach flag football, touch football game among some players, and while playing in that particular game,
that dude! I'm like
shredded. Yeah, shredded his knee. Was out of football for like a year and a half. Got some time in the Canadian Football League. The Dolphins signed him.
Wasn't he like a good back in camp too?
Well, he didn't have the same explosiveness. He was always like a really
good. The Dolphins got him on the rebound.
They did. They got him in the rebound, and in the 2002 season opener against the Detroit Lions, Ricky Williams' first game, it was a blowout. The Dolphins won 49-21. And in the second half, Robert Edwards caught 2 touchdown passes. Unfortunately, didn't do a whole lot. Did wind up with some more years in the CFL, I want to say. But it was just a very interesting human interest story. And not surprisingly, that beach little football game at the Pro Bowl disappeared very quickly thereafter.
Yeah, but now they have the skills competition, which I think it's cool. I've seen Tyreek get beaten in a race by Micah Parsons. Now Tyreek wasn't really trying, but Micah Parsons continues to hold that up as his trophy that he's the fastest man in the NFL because he beat Tyreek. But to that point, I wanted to see and was seeking out Tyreek in the locker room Friday. Unfortunately, he didn't come in because he's clearly doing rehab for that ankle injury. But you know, as Mike McDaniel says, the best way to turn Tyreek into the cheetah is because they're two different people. If you want to turn Tyreek into the cheetah, you've got to make it competitive. And I did want to bring it to his attention that he is no longer the NFL's fastest man, that his buddy, DK Metcalf, who Tyreek says has been ducking him for a race during the offseason, is now officially the NFL's fastest man. I'm sure they have exchanged a text message talking smack. But I did want to bring it to his attention and see if I can bring out the cheetah just to benefit Dolphin fans, of course, because selfishly, I only care about Dolphin fans and their success. But if you do know Tyreek, make sure you mention that DK Metcalf is now officially the fastest man in the NFL.
And if I may add, I hope that Tyreek doesn't put in his head to top that number this week when they're playing at Washington. Hold on. Dude, you're already giving me a look. Hold on, because there's rain in the forecast. The possibility is if the field is wet, I don't want Tyreek doing something unnecessarily dangerous that could injure him. Wait until he's back home in Miami. Hey, they play a Monday night game next week. That would be the perfect showcase for Tyreek to regain.
Plus, he's not healthy. Watched him all week. Kind of struggle to slow down on that ankle. You are being the responsible elder statesman, the AARP card holder, by bringing responsibility to the table, and I appreciate that.
Why you got to throw out AARP in my face like that? Oh, sorry.
I'm just saying, confirm or deny whether you have a card or not.
I'm playing. Somebody pointed out actually you don't have to be 50 anymore to get it. So there you go.
Damn, it's just 50? I'm close. I'm real close. It's just 50?
Wow, damn. You went there, huh?
I'm just saying. I thought it was 65. Like,
oh, damn, you're gonna do me like that? Jesus. Damn, don't put any more years on me than I already have.
All right.
Harsh.
Welcome to the live edition of the All Dolphins podcast. We definitely want you to line up your questions here. This day, as you guys know and are aware, is about you. So we answer your questions. And I started answering questions last night, as Poupard knows, and warned me and asked me to stop.
I did not ask. No. You know how much I hate incorrect facts. You want to tell? Do you want to say exactly what I said?
You said be careful.
Thank you. I
Okay.
didn't say stop. I said be careful.
I don't drink that much anymore. So I don't drink, and just so this is on the record, I don't drink because I get migraines from alcohol, and I haven't figured out what particular alcohol. It's not hangovers, or it's just any kind of wine, without a doubt, is going to give me migraine. Like 5 minutes into drinking it, migraine. Last night, Funky Buddha sent me the perfect season, undefeated 1972 bubbly that they usually send me. And so I said, I need to unwind and sort of celebrate discovery of things that are important. Well, not really important to me, but things that I needed to discover. And so I popped it open and was drinking while watching some sports, and I decided to answer some questions. Now, let's fast forward into the real story, why people are here. Let me actually tweet out. You filibuster while I tweet out that I'm about to answer.
People are here to see me, and
They are.
You're just a sidekick who we can.
There are people who love you, Alan. I don't know why you don't.
My wife loves me, and my kids love me. So, no, there are some people out there, and I appreciate everyone. I appreciate even the ones who disagree with me. I don't particularly care for the name calling. Seriously, you can disagree with my point. Tell me. You can even say I know nothing about football. That's fine. When you throw out disgrace or clown or stuff like that, that's over the top.
Yeah, no, I'm always with you on that. Disrespect. I don't mind we having a difference of opinion. What my issue is disrespect, and we could have a disagreement. We disagree all the time. We treat each other with respect. We treat each other with class. Same thing with all of our media cohorts. If people think we're entertaining, they should see a whole room of us: Barry, Adam, David, Daniel, Chris. We've always said we should turn it into a show.
Hard media knocks.
I know we entertain Hard Knocks quite a bit, because we don't pay attention to them, but it'll never make any of the episodes. But they sit there and they're just like obsessed with our conversations, as we generally fight about different things. But speaking of disrespect, a lot of people know, probably based from past experience with Brian Flores, they know I was suspended during the Brian Flores era. I've been suspended during every era. That's not a big deal. I get suspended for little foolish things that.
Omar, you want to explain to the folks what suspended in this particular context means?
Suspended means you can't come to practice or participate in games or whatever for a week, whatever.
Credential removal
removal. And it's usually to punish you for something that you did or you said or whatever. I've been punished for saying Michael Dieter was playing center when Michael Dieter was playing center, but I wasn't supposed to reveal that. I've been punished for other kind of foolishness. Unfortunately, I'm viewed as the bad boy. So what do you like shaking your head yes for?
Are you not who skews the line when it comes to following rules more than you do? Thank you.
There's somebody.
Okay.
I just can't think of that person at the present moment.
Okay.
But there is somebody.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just stating facts. That's all. It's what I do here.
Okay. So here's what me and Brian Flores, we never really got along, but we never had a tiff. The tiff was Brian Flores was running an RPO offense, and I'd spent months and months and months studying the RPO offense. This is back when Chan Gailey basically said, "Yeah, nah, I'm not working for you anymore, dude. I'm out, deuces." And then he hired Stootsville and
George Godsey.
There you go. George Godsey as the co-offensive coordinator, really because he couldn't hire anybody else because nobody else wanted to work for him.
And he hired Charlie Fry as QB coach, I believe.
Yeah, and that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd studied RPO, not necessarily for Brian Flores, but I'd studied it because it had been the epicenter of what Tua had run his entire career. And for me to understand Tua, I needed to understand RPO. Study, learn, talk to different coaches because I need to get it. Okay. And RPO is still an element the Dolphins use, but the offense isn't really based on it anymore. Tua is the case study. They teach RPO offenses on the college and high school level using Tua Tagovailoa's film. And this is not opinion. This is fact. Like, there are coaching tapes that are built to teach coaches the RPO, and it uses Alabama Tua Tagovailoa film. Okay, because he is the perfect prototype of the orchestrator of an RPO. Okay, let's move that. So I write this story for our season preview, basically explaining the RPO, the different elements, the different triggers, the different identifications. And according to Brian Flores, it was way too detailed, way too thorough, and I deserve to be suspended because I made up a hypothetical play to give an example and paint a picture of the RPO based on players who, based on, in his explanation, something that I'd seen on the field, when in reality, all of the players that I used had never been on the field together. Because one of the players was injured. Maybe more than one of the players was injured. But because I used a hypothetical play that might or might not be in their playbook, just based off my knowledge of the RPO, and I put, and here's the funny thing, it was Jakeem Grant in motion, which I had never seen. You know how I feel about Jakeem Grant, but I just use this as a goddamn example. And Jakeem Grant, me putting Jakeem Grant in motion is what got me suspended. And why would you use Jakeem Grant? But the suspension doesn't bother me. It is what it is. Not my first, won't be my last. Poupard has told me, do not get suspended. So I'm not getting suspended. Poupard watches me and makes sure that I don't walk up to the line. I'm a good boy. I'm a very good boy. Okay?
Who's your good boy?
Yeah. The issue that I had was the fact that Brian Flores wanted to talk. He didn't want to listen. Yelling. You don't talk to a grown man like that. I don't care what your position is. I don't care. One, you're not my boss. Two, you're not my daddy. And I'm a grown man too. And that was at the epicenter. And I said to him, you're not going to talk to me like that. I'm not your child. I'm not, and I'm not I'm not one of your players. It's not going to happen. That led to back and forth. And you need to talk to my boss and this and this and this and this. And oh, you're not going to, but there's a certain way that you talk to people in this world that it crosses a line. And Brian Flores had crossed that line with me. And to that point, we could never be friends. And unfortunately, what I learned was that I was not the only person that was subjected to that abuse. And in fact, Tua Tagovailoa had been consistently subjected to that type of abuse. And it came to a head in the Tennessee loss. Timeout.
Can I interject very quickly here?
Go ahead.
I don't want to interrupt your story, and the big difference there is Tua technically was his employee. You were not his employee. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes. But still, Tua is a man. I don't think in this era of, and it's weird to say this, but I truly do believe this. In this era of players, the Bill Parcells will not survive. In this era of players, the Bill Belichicks will not survive. In this era of players, anybody who's raised up under Bill Belichick will not survive. Which is why when people ask me, is Brian Flores, should he become a head coach again? I say two things to that. One, will he mature and learn how to treat people better? And two, can he hire an offensive staff? Because ultimately, nobody wanted to work for Brian Flores. and that was ultimately what led to his demise. Chan Gailey, from based on what I was told, Chan Gailey was a hire made by Chris Greer as a favor to people to who hired Chris Greer. So, and they made that connection. And then when that blew up on him, and it was a pretty good offense, but when that blew up on him and he didn't want to work for him, he struggled getting another hire. Now, could he make connections and find somebody who's going to be a great hire? Absolutely. And for the record, I do support his lawsuit because I do believe a lot of those things are factual. Like, I'm sorry, but the NFL does hire minorities for bad jobs and put them in bad situations. Did the Miami Dolphins hire Brian Flores with the intent of him to tank the season? Absolutely. They were intentionally sabotaging their own team. According to Brian Flores, who I interviewed on I Am Athlete, and we had some tips during that conversation, he would have never taken that job, would have never tanked, and would have never messed with the integrity of the game. And my question to him you were intentionally sabotaging your team on a weekly basis by signing a guy on Tuesday and then putting him out on the field on Sunday, but you weren't tanking. Explain.
But here's the thing. Again, I don't know if you were pausing for me to jump in here. The two things, and while I understand this would be very, 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 very touchy because it would put the Dolphins in a bad light. But if the plan in 2019 was to tank,
it was.
Okay, should that not have been kind of not made clear not in so many incriminating words, but that to make sure they hired a coach who would be on board with the plan?
Absolutely.
And then number two,
you trade away all your good players. You kind of should realize what you're doing.
Okay, and then again, to me, the biggest mystery of 2019 to me again also is if you're tanking, why in the triple hell are you not sticking with Josh Rosen at quarterback?
Because
under the guise of, and you can tell me about the locker room all you want, but under the guise of we traded the second and the fifth for him. Let's see what we have in him before we move on. And at the same time, you're accomplishing the goal of losing games because Josh Rosen wasn't going to win you nearly as many games as Fitz did.
Because you knew Josh Rosen sucked, and if you knew that if you played him, you would lose your entire locker room, and you might not survive the season. And again, you don't tell me you can say whatever you want about that, but the locker room knew he sucked, and the locker room already knew that we were tanking. Guys like Minkah Fitzpatrick is like, I need to get the hell up out of here because this is part of this team's culture. Like, I don't want to be part of it. It's a fine line that you have to walk, and they could not walk that fine line with Josh Rosen as a starter because it's too overt. So that's why you disagree, but and it is what it is. Ultimately,
I know. I want to make one last point about Brian Flores because I think we're going to lose some fans here because he's got a lot of detractors. And sorry to say this for those of you who hate him and then everything he does sucks and then he's a piece of garbage and all that. The man, when it comes to X's and O's on defense, is borderline brilliant.
Yes. No question about that. I think he's going to be a good head coach. The problem I do believe he has is ability to connect to people. And that also is his staff, his players, the people working under him. And I heard a lot of great stories, but then I heard a lot of horror stories. And you can't have those horror stories. And I'm sorry, there's a correlation with all of Bill Belichick's assistants. They all have the same common thread, and Brian Flores is on that thread.
But here's the thing, and this is something we got from my buddy Hondo when he was on with us behind enemy lines and also in subsequent conversations, is that Josh McDaniels, as much as he failed in his second go around, was a lot more personable and better in dealing with players than he was his first go around with the Denver Broncos. So he learned the lessons in that sense. And then maybe Flores will have learned a lesson because obviously if he's going to be a hard ass like he was in Miami, that ain't going to work.
So. We will agree. And
okay.
We will end it on that. And I hope he does get another head coaching job. And I hope he does find an offensive coach that says, hey, I want to ride with you. I want to build with you. It can happen. I mean, I was honestly surprised at the quality and caliber of staff that Mike McDaniels was able to put together, and lore. And that's because, and you know why he was able to do that? Because everybody's like, this is a young genius, and he's great with people, and he treats people great, and I want to work for him. And lo and behold, here we are.
Okay, Max from Montreal. Thank you very much. How much would we need to pony up to get one of you to travel to the Baltimore game? Keep up the good work. That's a good question. I don't know.
The ticket is for Baltimore is ridiculous. I believe it's like $1,200. Talking to our media peers, while I would love to go on the road again, I do the pregame show for WQAM, so I'm locked here. And Poupard, Baltimore. I want to see that game. You know, the Baltimore game that I remember that stands out in my mind forever and will never ever leave.
Well, I'm sure you're going to say the one last year.
No,
that was pretty memorable. No, okay.
No, actually. I never even saw that game live. I was traveling for I Am Athlete, and I saw that game on NFL on the recap. The Chad Henne, Ed Reed game. Do you remember that game?
No. Which one are you talking about?
It was during Chad Henne's era as the starter for the Miami Dolphins, and it really began his demise. I'm trying to find the year for you. Give me
find it real quickly while I address Max from my end, because you kind of I don't know if you were answering for me.
I was.
Max, I find personally, to be very honest with you, that I'm able to focus a lot more, and I actually catch more things and see more things watching the game on TV, to be very honest with you. Now, the one exception is we will go wherever there are things happening that we wouldn't be able to see otherwise. For example, both Omar and I went to the joint practices in Houston. If the Dolphins make it to the Super Bowl, we absolutely will be there. And then I'm going to go to the Combine. Those are the places I go. But for a regular season away game, I think Omar would be a lot more, inclined to want to do that. However, as he mentioned, he's got those WQAM pregame responsibilities. Omar, the year on the Chad Henne Ed Reed game,
2010. And that was the year. The final score was 26-10. And in the locker room, and that was Chad Henne's second season as an NFL starter. And Ed Reed basically said, he's a type of quarterback that we can make him do whatever we want him to do. All we got to do is give him the check down, and he'll take the check down. We can make him throw wherever we want him to throw. And it was absolutely the truth. And, I think he was benched that year for like 5 seconds. I think he was benched the next game for Chad Pennington. And that lasted 5 seconds until Pennington got injured, tore his shoulder in like 2 throws. But Ed's indictment of Chad Henne was so harsh after the game, and the criticism of him and how simplistic he was in terms of check down Chad was, because that was his nickname.
It was.
There was no coming back from it.
And yet, the dude wound up playing another decade in the NFL.
Come on, was he ever really a starter?
No, but I mean, give the man his props. I mean, I know like Stephen Ross was throwing out Dan Marino comparisons when they drafted him in the second round of 2008 out of Michigan, and I think we can safely say now that it didn't pan out that way.
Definitely not.
Sadly, my Baltimore memories were the 2 smackdowns that the Ravens defense gave to the Dolphins in the playoffs following the 2001 season, following the 2008 season, which was it was so exciting that, the Dolphins won the AFC East for the first time since 2000 with the Wildcat in the playoffs, and then the playoffs come and it's like that. And Omar has disappeared on me. We'll welcome back Omar. I don't know if it's again internet issues. And here comes Omar back. Is he back?
Or I'm back.
Omar just wanted to disappear, take a break or something.
I pressed some button and it just
press some button. As we've said before, Omar and I are not necessarily very technologically advanced. So if we hit the remove button, you'll have to forgive us. Sorry.
I was scrolling to try to find questions and like press some button, and then I got kicked out. Wouldn't
Coach
be my first time ever
AJ.
kicked
Oh,
out of anything.
sorry. Sorry, Omar. Coach AJ, thank you. What's up, guys? Have either of you ever asked a tough question and got the coach or player upset, which made the press conference uncomfortable? LOL. Absolutely, but I'd be hard pressed to come up with. I've been doing this for 34 years, so
Coach or player, please. That's
yeah.
that's
And
that's
I
that's
used to ask a lot more questions than I do now. Now I kind of let the other guys go. So I'm very selective when it comes to asking questions these days. Again, my peers do a good job, and a lot of times I find the answers because I've been doing this for so long. A lot of times I kind of know what's coming. So, and if it comes to being like revealing the questions, the answers where I'm really curious about the questions, I know they're not getting answered. So,
to answer this question, yeah, everybody knows players want to fight me all the time. That's old news. Coaches, I've never really had I would say the coach I had the worst relationship with was Brian Flores, and I never really it didn't impact me in regards to questions that I asked or whatever. Sometimes you'll get a shorter answer, but he never really did that. Because I think a lot of these press conferences, they're answering the questions and they know the fans are watching and paying attention. So if you come across like a dick, you're just going to come across like a dick. But I've never really had I don't think I've had like press conference moments with a coach where it's like, okay, a really negative experience. I mean, I used to what I didn't like was there was a certain point of my career where I don't have three. Okay. There was a certain point in my career where like people would be like, okay, Omar's gonna ask the hard question, so let's wait for it. And or go up to the guy who everybody's scared to go up to. But I don't think that that's so much the case with this media contingent.
no, and if you preface it the right way, I mean, you know, because here's the thing: there's a way to ask a hard question without being a jerk about it.
Absolutely.
So, but like I said, I've been doing this for so long. I forget. We have to acknowledge this one here. Sean, thank you very much. Thanks for today's headache, Omar, who inspired my rare liquor night last night. LOL. Okay, question thought. Is this team really different? If so, what is the intangible? Next team's Dolphins media is so used to next year that some are doing that now instead of enjoying this incredible ride. Lot to unpack there.
Yeah, I gotta read it again.
Go ahead.
Touch thought. Is this team really different? If so, what are the intangibles? Next seems Dolphins media is used to next year, and some are doing that now instead of enjoying the incredible ride. Okay, let me go backwards. Are they focused on next year? I have heard some conversations about the capocalypse and who can we afford and who are you going to re-sign? Put that question back up because it's still got a lot to unpack. But
that comes from the media. That doesn't come from the team. I mean,
oh no, I've heard fans talking about it.
Fans you're talking about? Well, yeah,
and media, and I still have to. I'm still trying to figure it out and do the work and the math. It's a lot of math to unpack to figure out how can you afford to retain and build on this if this doesn't end ultimately where you want it to end, or if it does end where you want it to end and you're trying to do it again. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to require you restructure Tyreek. It's going to require you restructure Zach Sealer. You're restructuring like 5 contracts. You're shaking down like 5 players. You're waiving like another 3 players, and that's just to get you a baseline. You're signing Tua to a multi-year extension. You're signing Christian to a multi-year extension. That's just to buy you some space and relief. And it's let's get there before we start to focus on like
Well,
let's enjoy the ride. Let's enjoy these final 6 games.
but here's the thing, Omar, is like for us in the media, for example, it's like, first of all, Omar and I do a podcast every single day. We do a ton of written content on alldolphins.com. So we can touch on a whole lot of different things, not strictly focused on this year, because and before too long, I'm going to start doing like mock draft projections. I haven't done it yet because I'm right exactly for your point, Sean. The Dolphins are in the middle of a potential Super Bowl run. Let's worry about the draft when it comes. But I get it from a media perspective. From a fan standpoint, this might be the best shot they have at making a Super Bowl run in a while. Mm-hmm. So I think you're crazy if it's like, oh my God, what's going to happen next year? As far as the other question, what's different? I don't believe necessarily in anything intangible. The two things that are different. Okay. From my end, this is the best defense they've had in a while. That's a tangible difference that gives me more optimism than I had maybe at this time last year.
You people better bookmark this moment. It's 30-55.
What is your problem? What's your big intangible? Because they went through that last year. Is that going to be your intangible?
No.
That they like playing with each other. They didn't like playing with each other last year.
I'm going to let you finish your
intangible,
point.
Omar. Go ahead.
I'm going to let you finish your point. Tell the people, what's different.
That's the big difference. If you're saying what's different about this team, is their defense is better than it was last year, by far. And another thing that's different about this team is you're 8-3 right now, and your next 3 games are not Chargers, Bills, 49ers. Sorry, 49ers, Chargers, Bills. Your next 3 games are Commanders, Titans, Jets. Go ahead, Omar. Tell me where I was wrong, because I know you're dying to do that. Tell me the lie I told.
You didn't tell a lie in regards to their defense. They are arguably, and hopefully it doesn't get watered down without Jalen Phillips, but they're arguably a top 5 defense in the NFL. I can't tell you probably since the Zach Thomas, Jason Taylor era, when's the last time they had a top 5 defense in the NFL. I'm sure you can because your obsessive nature will look it up.
No, dude, I don't have to look it up. I've lived it, and you're absolutely right. Don't give me this. I'm actually going to back you up here. You're absolutely right. The last time we had a defense like this was in the early 2000s with Zach, JT, Tim Bowens, Sam Patton, the back end.
Okay. Now, what I will say is different about this team, and you can probably poo-poo this because you actually covered last year's team, whereas I didn't. There is a different level of confidence and an arrogance to this team that I have never covered.
You don't think they were like that at 8-3 last year too?
No, you tell me, educate me.
They were riding high at 8-3.
And arrogant?
They're not arrogant. They're confident.
Oh, they're very arrogant.
Okay.
They're very arrogant. And it's rightfully owned. They're like, we are having a historic year. We do have the number 1 offense. I don't think they're number 1 anymore, are they?
Total offense, yeah.
Okay. In points? Somebody.
No, Dallas number 1 in points. Somebody else is number 1 in points.
Yeah, somebody overtook them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure if I bring that to their attention, I think they would be like, oh yeah, teams take on the personality of their leadership and of their top players. And this team has taken on the personality of Tyreek Hill, the competitive nature, Tua Tagovailoa, the ultra critical nature of Jalen Ramsey, the nothing will stop me nature of Christian Wilkins. I'm going to eat your face nature. That like, you will be my bitch. Like, teams do take on the personalities of their top players and their top performers. And this team has got a very interesting mix of like arrogance, confidence, braggadociousness, competitive fight. And it's like a Molotov cocktail that is very enticing. I've said all week, and Poupard has poo-pooed it as he usually does. I think the one thing that can take this team down is the offensive line.
Okay. again, you're talking like a fan. Omar. You're talking like a fan because this is where somebody could easily say, awesome that they're being cocky and braggadocious and all that when they've played the third easiest schedule in the NFL. And you can roll your head back all you want. That's a fact. And
you do not make your schedule. You do not address.
You do have a chance to change a narrative when you play Buffalo, KC, and Philly, and you come up short each and every time. To me, this is
three teams that are.
Somebody would say, if somebody were to say the Dolphins don't have the right to be that cocky and arrogant until they beat a legitimately good team, and you can tell me
Denver.
They were not good when they played Denver.
It doesn't matter. They're good now, right?
Denver was a dumpster fire when they played them.
They're good now.
Do you not think that would be legitimate argument?
Is the Denver Broncos a good team right now? Yes or no?
Yes, they weren't a good team in week 3.
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
They were addressing some issues.
It does.
As every team is addressing issues and injuries at some point in the season, you don't think the Miami Dolphins are a different team with and without Teron Armstead? Okay, you just so happened to play them when they had some issues and were dealing with some dramas. Doesn't mean that they're not a good team. I could say, for instance, what team beat them? Buffalo. Buffalo caught them in the perfect storm. Teron got hurt during the game.
During the game, not before the game. He was there.
He was in the first quarter. And then the game unraveled.
No, it was the second quarter, actually. It was right before. It was close to halftime. Omar, if you're going to throw out facts, you better make sure they're right because I am going to correct you on facts.
Okay. And the game unraveled when Teron Armstead was out.
They were already behind. I will look it up. I believe they were already behind when you went out.
Oh, well, don't believe.
Are you pinning the loss against Buffalo, the 48 points they gave up on Teron Armstead leaving the game?
No, I'm pinning the 48 points they gave up against Buffalo on the fact that, one, they couldn't stop a 4-man rush, and 2, they had Kader Kohu and every slap you-know-what out there covering Stephon Diggs. Like, instead of having Xavier Howard shadowing. That's what I'm pinning the loss on, and stubbornness on a defensive coordinator.
Okay. It was 21-14 Buffalo when Armstead left after a play that began with 4:02 left in the second quarter.
I rest my case.
And what case is that they gave up?
They were down 7 points and the game unraveled is what the statement that I made.
Okay, and to me it unraveled a lot more defensively than it did offensively, or actually both. But
both.
Okay.
Both, but
are you seriously gonna fight me on the fact that the Dolphins have not beaten a good team?
They have beaten a good team. They've beaten the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos are now officially a good team.
Now a good team. Okay.
Are now, yeah, okay. And are you going to argue the fact that the Dolphins have lost all 3 of their games on the road? Let them play a good team at home.
That's it. Okay.
Let them play a good team at home before we sit here and say, oh, they can't beat anybody. They know the narratives. I know the narratives. Look at the circumstances and the situations. Did they get a single call against the Philadelphia Eagles? No.
Oh, you're going, yeah, you're going there. I thought you would never, never go.
They didn't get a single call. They couldn't stop the tush push, and it was just and then Tua turns the ball over with the game in the balance in the fourth quarter. Okay, it happens. Like, so now Buffalo, you got your face beat in because you can't block 4 rushers with 5 offensive linemen because you lost Teron Armstead. Everything shifts around Teron Armstead. He's the bookmark of your offensive line. Literally, you slide every other protection away from Teron because he can handle his job. When he's not there, you are doo-doo.
Except, did you not say at one point this season during the podcast, did you not say Connor Williams' presence in the lineup was more important than that of Teron Armstead? Did you not say that?
No, I didn't. You're going to have to provide the facts and proof. I say he's just as important. And they didn't have Connor Williams in that game. Oh, Matt, man.
Yes, they did not. Hickenberg had a rough game. They still gave up 48 points.
What?
They still gave. Okay, Sean. Let me go back to the original question. And this is where Omar and I disagree. I'm not buying the intangible that they're cocky and all that. To me, the biggest difference and why there should be a degree of increased confidence that this season will end better than it did last year is that defense is much better.
Okay. Agreed.
And that's the intangible. And one question mark. Hold on, one question mark. And I wrote about this on alldolphins.com, and it's going to come across like this, but it's a fact. One question mark is Tua in December, January games, because the numbers say this is not an opinion. The numbers say he hasn't done it yet.
Yes, and if you haven't looked at Alan Poupard's poop piece on Tua.
Wow, damn! Spell poop in this particular circumstance.
If you haven't looked at Poop's piece in this particular situation regarding Tua and his December disaster of numbers, which Alan would love to make sure that I state are all facts. They are all facts. It's there on alldolphins.com. I'll tweet it out after we're done. And you should read it because it's an indictment on Tua. No argument about it.
And by the way, for the record, I have never said that he can't get it done. What I am saying, he hasn't yet. And this is a question that still needs to be answered for the Dolphins to reach their ultimate goal, number one, and number two, before you throw big money at him.
You always got to bring in the money, don't you? You always, every minute, it's always about money to you. Like, I don't see you bringing up money with Christian Wilkins. I don't see you bringing up.
No, you're right. We've never talked about Christian Wilkins' contract.
No. Every time we bring it up, we don't talk about when we're talking about Tua as the MVP candidate and the front runner for the first month of the season. You wasn't bringing up money. We bring up December games. Oh, it's all about money. You got to see it before you start paying him. He's gonna get his money one way or the other. Like,
we're gonna go down that rabbit hole again.
No, we're not. We are not going to go down that rabbit hole. We will save that rabbit hole for another episode because I'm tired of fighting with you about this. You always bring up the money when you bring up December. It's like December and money. Like, you never bring up money when we're talking about Tua being the number one rated quarterback or.
But Omar, it's not about the and let me be perfectly clear on this. It's not so much about the dollar amount. It's about making the long-term commitment to the guy. Because at that point, if you sign him to a 5-year contract extension or 6 years or 7 years, whatever, it doesn't matter how much he gets. You're making that long-term commitment to him. So the question is whether you make that long-term commitment to him.
No, listen, Bull. The commitment is as long as that guaranteed money is there. And the commitment is as long as Tua allows you to continue to restructure his contract so that you can make room to improve the team. That's as long as your commitment is. I don't care about the length of the contract. I don't care about the dollar value of the contract. Only thing I ever care about is the guaranteed money in the contract. And
I'm showing the point.
Over my head.
The point is before you make a long-term commitment to a quarterback. That's not. You know what I love about that gesture here? It's not condescending in the least, not at all. And it's a good thing that I don't get offended very easily because otherwise,
what is the point about the long? Tua's going to get $150 million guaranteed, bro. Like,
I digest
it.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, Omar, that's fine. I have a right to say, and I am going to say it. Any prudent organization would want their quarterback to show. He can get it done down the stretch in money situations before you make a long-term commitment to him.
Okay. Tua loses the first game of the playoffs at home. They still not sign him to a contract extension?
Well, according to you, Mr. Everything is about wins or losses for quarterbacks, I would say no. But according to me, who actually attaches some nuance, if he, excuse my French, shits the bed, what
about the team shits the bed?
That's different.
I mean,
you have to make a determination. Is this the quarterback who can take us where we want to go?
You know that he already will tell you yes.
You think the Dolphins
absolutely? Who's saying no? Who's saying no to that answer right this very minute in the organization?
Nobody's saying no. Nobody's
saying. Steve Ross? No. Is it Chris Greer? No. Is it Mike Tannenbaum? I mean, not Tannenbaum. Oh, wow. Mike McDaniel? No. So yes.
No,
Who else you
whoa,
need?
whoa, 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 whoa. Are they saying yes, yes, yes? Or are they saying we think so right now? We think so right now. We think so right now.
They're saying yes, yes, yes.
And I'm saying his career passer rating in December, January is 81.5, whatever it is. If he pulls another 81.5 in then December, January, and they give him a long-term contract extension in the offseason, regardless, I think that's horrible management. All I'm saying.
I'm not arguing with you on that.
Okay, good. Thank you. That's all I'm saying.
I've covered the Dolphins for 20 years. They've made horrible management decisions for 2 decades. What would change that? What would change now?
And again, so it's clear to everyone out there, I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm not saying I've never ever once said that. All I've said is so far he hasn't done it, and we need to see it. That's all. I mean, now I'm tired, man. You guess. And Omar disappeared. See, Omar. See, would that be a sign that I won the? Well, there was an argument. It was a discussion, but considering. Kevin Fisher, thank you very much. Good morning, gentlemen. I've been following since day one. Appreciate your work and dedication. Question: Tua has struggled with turnovers as of late. What is an area that he can focus on immediately to see improvement? How can he right the ship? Thanks as always.
I apologize. I'm trying to get to the comments, and there's something that I'm pressing on the comments that are.
You're pressing the Alan was right button.
That doesn't exist. Okay.
Come on, give me points for that line.
Alan is a great fact checker button. Alan, listen, you're absolutely right. If he puts up another 80-something passer rating in December, yeah, it would be a bad decision to sign him to a multi-year, $150 million guaranteed contract. But does that mean that they won't do it? I promise you, they signed Ryan Tannehill to a contract extension way before they needed to and should have. It's not going to stop them from making bad decisions. This is their quarterback.
That's an excellent point, Omar, and I completely agree with you. And I'm glad we're kind of like on the same wavelength.
This is their quarterback, and they will do nothing but show him love no matter what happens. I think the only thing that would stop him from getting his money is him being hurt again.
Don't jinx it. Fans are going to get crazy on you. So, Kevin, the answer to your question. Okay. The answer to your question is, yeah, and it comes up in the media. This is part of what Omar and I were discussing yesterday, and part of what I don't know if I would say it annoys me or whatever. If there was a common thread to Tua's turnovers the last couple of weeks, then it would be one thing. If it was like he's always trying to force the ball, like for example, the 2 interceptions against the Jets, the throw to Braxton Berrios was the right decision, except he threw the ball insanely way too late.
He threw it inside, he said.
BS. Sorry. He threw a floater long after Berrios made his cut.
That is not his throw that he should throw. He should not be. Anyway.
This is one of those where he needs to throw it before Berrios makes the cut. And he didn't. Berrios was pretty far into his cut when he threw the ball. And the second
the Tyreek Hill was too inside.
It was. But and if you look at that one, that's a force because the separation wasn't really there. That's a force.
Yeah, but he forces a lot of passes. Tua pinholes passes, and sometimes you look at them and you're like, how is that not intercepted? How is that not picked off? And it just happens that. And then a lot of times defenders drop his balls too. And I've heard the theory that they drop them because the left-handed rotation is different for them. And as you know, cornerbacks don't exactly have the greatest of hands.
And then let me finish my point here. And then the one against the Raiders the previous week, it's a deep shot to Waddle where there's some thought that Tua thought Waddle was going to do something else. So you're looking at 3 picks with 3 different sets of circumstances. So it's and then the fumble on the scramble, it's a punch out at the end of the play. So there's no common thread where you say, Tua, you need to focus on this. The only thing I would say on those is the Tyreek was a force. So no, there's no easy answer to those. And this is where yes, I'm going to go there. That Tua's average arm strength, very politely, comes into play. If he's not precise, he doesn't have as much.
And if his footwork isn't right.
Correct.
And his foot, and you know what impacts your footwork being right? What impacts your footwork being right, Poupard?
If he's rushed, which he wasn't in either case.
And what about if your offensive line doesn't allow you to step up in the pocket?
Correct, which wasn't the case in any of the picks.
Okay.
But I hear you. For example, if anybody watched the Oregon-Washington game last night, Michael Penix, who's certainly, he's good, and you close your eyes, you can certainly see Tua there.
I think he might have a better arm.
He had one pick though where he kind of threw off his back foot and it floated over right into the arms of an Oregon DB. So,
left-handed quarterback.
Yep.
You're a lefty, so you.
I was going to say I will not have any lefty disrespect. Here's the thing though about lefty that's weird is I don't know. There's ever been there like in baseball, for example. Some of the hardest throw maybe ever is Randy Johnson, who was a lefty. And you look at football, I can't remember a lefty who would say, man, that guy's got an arm. Oh, sorry, Michael Vick. Other than Michael Vick. Outside of that, Steve Young didn't have a great arm, even though he was a great quarterback. Boomer Esiason didn't have he had a solid arm, not great. Tua didn't have a great arm. Ken Stabler didn't have a big arm. I don't know what the hell that is.
Listen, Linda. It was nice talking to you. What excuses did I make about the Dolphins? Never thought I would see the day, but here it is. And also, he isn't wrong. What excuses did I make about the Dolphins?
Who's he? Am I he in this particular case?
No. I don't know. What excuse did I make about the Dolphins? I didn't make any excuses. Do I think the Dolphins are a Super Bowl contending team? No, not really. Not right now. They're not playing like one. You got to get better on the offensive line. You got to be more consistent with your run game. And Tua's got to clean that crap up. You do that and play defense the way that you've been playing defense, you will be a Super Bowl contending team. I don't think their offense is out of gear 3 right now. And you've seen it in gear 5. Does it look like it's been looking? It hasn't. And Mike McDaniel got to pull out a lot more of that Magic Mike trickery. Like, it's not humming like it used to. And my theory is it's on the offensive line. You could pretend like Trent's play doesn't matter and having 2 backups on your offensive line and an injured Teron Armstead doesn't make a difference. But it does. It does. Like, when you're humming, it's because your offensive line has got Tua's back and he's protected and they're opening up running lanes and 20 yards downfield, burring over defenders. What?
How often does that happen in December games, Omar? Are we serious with this? Come on, man.
It happens for the San Francisco 49ers. And
20 yards downfield in
it happens for the San Francisco 49ers. They just had Jason Kelce 20 yards downfield and whoever the hell they just played, making key blocks in a critical overtime. The Buffalo Bills. It happens.
It was 5 yards downfield, but let's.
It was.
Okay, come on, dude.
Stop it.
You're expecting.
Yes.
Right now, constituted right now, if Kendall Lamb starts at left tackle, okay, where would you rank the Dolphin offensive line?
In terms
top 10, top 15 in the NFL?
Okay, but top 15, but you're also factoring in everybody else's offensive line is watered down and garbage too.
My point is the Dolphins have enough on the team.
They do.
On the team everywhere. If you look at the totality of the roster.
Yeah, Kendall Lamb with his bad back, by the way. Put that on tape. I think Kendall Lamb
May I finish?
You shall, man. You may shall.
Shall me? Okay. With the totality of the roster, particularly the defense, the way it's been playing lately, and I expect it's still going to continue to be good without Jalen Phillips. It's okay if they don't have. It would be great if they had the Philadelphia, or the San Francisco, or the Detroit offensive line. They still can succeed and go very, very far in the playoffs with the offensive line they have now.
They a Super Bowl contending team with this offensive line right now, playing at this level?
If QB1 delivers as you hope he does, yes. I'm going to put more on QB1 and then you're going to put more on the offensive line.
I'm going to put it on the offensive line.
Okay.
And I will put it on the offensive line. If you know me, you know I'm always going to put it on the offensive line. You don't have a good offensive line, you don't have a good team. And right now, they're just okay. You would disagree?
If QB1 is the guy you say he's destined to be, this is where he needs to be a difference maker.
You're right. Okay. You're right. You're right. He needs to elevate the level at that offensive line, and I think he has. And you're right.
And also don't think that Mike McDaniel's play calling and what he does in the scheme, all that does not help the offensive line, because it does.
And it handcuffs the offense because you have to take certain plays and certain packages that you were utilizing earlier in the season away because you don't have that time. You will acknowledge that and admit that, correct?
They take a deep shot once or twice every game.
Okay, they used to take it 5 or 6 times every game. I've acknowledged when you were right. You can't acknowledge when I am right.
There you go. I'll give you one of these. Surprise.
See, when I'm right, I get a mint. Okay. We've not.
I'm going to get a cookie. Do we like this one here, Omar, for a new name?
Poop and booty cheeks.
That's not bad. Looking at some of these questions.
They are not running the ball. Don't say. Listen.
He's not running the ball.
Huh?
They're running the ball.
They're saying the Dolphins are running the ball, and they are kind of running the ball, but not running the ball. They're finishing out games in the fourth quarter with their 2-minute offense. The Dolphins in the last 4 games ran for 45 yards, 78 yards, 117 yards, and then I'm sorry. Huh?
169 or 165.
No, 99 against Vegas. I'm sorry. I have a. Is this right? They don't have. This is wrong. They have the Jet. And what they do against the Jets?
It was over 160 yards.
Yeah, 160 yards, and most of it came in for the 4-minute offense, which is when they were finishing out the game. Anyway, but continue.
But you're the one who just said yesterday that they're a historic running offense.
They are historic. When they commit to the run, they can run the ball. I think that part of the reason that they can't commit to the run is, again, and this is not an excuse, it's just explanation for why they have not looked the way that they've looked earlier this season, is they don't have the line to do it. And you're just piecemealing things together right now to make it through. That doesn't mean it looks good or tastes good. And it doesn't, and it hasn't. 167 is not bad against the Jets, but I promise you most of that came in the fourth quarter when they were trying to close out the game. But anyway.
We digress.
Let's find the next question.
Well, it's not a question, but anybody who says I am team poop, I'm gonna put it up there. Thank you, Ricardo.
Ricardo, I can respect that. At least be specific about what your team poop on, because
everything.
No, he's team poop on quarterback. And yes, Tua's got to play better in December. Okay,
you wrote a column about that.
Yes, yes. You backed me into a corner. And I wrote a column about it. He's got to play better in December.
Whoa! I backed you in a corner.
Yes, you made me angry at in a live chat. I hung up on you on the chat. And then I decided to write the column. Yes, you're right. Tua's got to play better in December. This is not this. What you're seeing from Tua now is not the standard that I expect. And it's not the standard that he expects. And it's not the standard that his team expects. He has flat out said it. He knows he has to play better. And he's put it on him.
My man Dana here. My theory is we have injuries at every position group except QB. Everybody's got injuries.
Everybody's got injuries.
Yes, that's
the December football is attrition, survival of the fittest.
Mm-hmm.
And the deepest teams survive. The Dolphins believe they're one of the deepest teams. Now, the key is you can't have key injuries. You can't lose Christian Wilkins, knock on wood. You lose Christian Wilkins, it's going to change the complete dynamic of your defense. You can't lose Teron Armstead. You lose Teron Armstead, changes the complete dynamic of your offensive line. You cannot lose Tyreek Hill. You lose Tyreek Hill, changes the complete dynamic of your passing game. So you just can't have key injuries. You cannot lose Javon Holland. You lose Javon Holland, I don't know if it changes the complete dynamic of your defense, but you're not sewn together as tightly as you could be.
Damn, I agree with everything you just said.
Do I get a mint?
There you go. Sorry. Boop is a serial editor. Thank you, EJ.
I get the reference.
Well, I brought up on the show that I'm anal enough that I'll look at a box of cereal and if there's a typo on it, I actually point it out. And
You probably write the cereal company.
no, I'm not that anal.
I like this. You guys have a dynamic of an old married couple. We have been having these conversations for 10 plus years, just never on a podcast.
Correct. And never every day where I have to put up with him. I'm sorry, what?
All right. Or never every day when you have to actually back up your arguments.
And I don't mind. EJ, yeah, correct. The Cowboys now, in fact, I looked it up as we were talking. The Cowboys are 49 points ahead of the Dolphins. They've played one more game. And by the way, I am going to say this in the interest of thoroughness and fairness. The Cowboys actually have played an even easier schedule than the Dolphins. And they are facing the same, if you want to call it that, narrative that they haven't beaten anybody.
What does this mean? Winter is coming.
Game of Thrones.
I know it's Game of Thrones, but there is no really winter. It's like I don't get it. Is it just because it's December games? Winter is coming.
I guess, or the Dolphins, the White Walkers. I don't know. No, and their schedule's is worked out not because of opponents. Now I'm not touching that, but the fact that they. No, you really want me to go there, Omar? Because you brought it up. You really want me to go there?
I do.
Okay, we want to talk about December games. Look in that story on alldolphins.com. Justin Herbert's career rating, passer rating in December and January games is 95.7, and the rest of the year is 96.8 or whatever. Which tells you he remains consistent. You want a December game? Go watch that 2021 game against the Raiders at the end of the year that they lost because of their defense.
That's not answering the question.
No, I don't think they paid Herbert too early, and I don't think anybody outside of Dolphin fans or Tua fans would tell you yes to that answer. And I think actually the reaction you would get, Logan, with all due respect, by probably more than not would be laughing. No, that Chargers organization is a complete dysfunctional.
How did they fix it?
Sorry?
How do they fix it?
That's a great question. I mean, scrap the whole thing. GM coach, how you bring back your coach who's supposed to be a defensive guru, whose defense has sucked since he got there. They bring him back after they blow a 27-0 lead, and go look at the game and see that it wasn't all on Herbert. And then they bring him back and they expect a different result. So no, and this is not a Herbert.
I like this. Poop is not a hater; he's a realist. I think we're both realists. I'm not.
Why would I hate? What I hate are distorted facts, being misquoted. I hate being misquoted. Dude, I don't hate. I don't. Omar can vouch to this. I was not a Ryan Tannehill fan from the start, and it was like, God, please get him out of here already. They're not going anywhere. And I told my wife
that was the bond of our friendship.
You know. I told my wife, I don't know how many times, and she's not a football fan, but I told the Dolphins are not going anywhere. Until they move on from Ryan Tannehill.
Absolutely, we were united. Our friendship might be defined by Ryan Tannehill.
There you go. Who's very, very much trying all that.
Ryan Tannehill forged our friendship. Now that I think about it, I believe we would spend time bellyaching and complaining about how we're covering this functional franchise that ain't going to goddamn place because Ryan Tannehill ain't nothing.
And then they signed him to a long-term contract extension, and it's like, what are we doing? And here's the thing: I have nothing against Tua, but I don't want to see a 7-year contract if I have concerns about the guy being able to produce at crunch time, and the numbers say right now he hasn't, and that's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
What do we got here?
How many teams that have committed $250 million of contracts to QBs have got the value out of their money? Kansas City, yes.
Philadelphia's 10-1 last I checked.
Yeah. I would argue
is 11-3. Sorry, Omar.
I would argue that Josh Allen is not the problem in Buffalo. I think injuries and defense are. So there we go. As Poupard has said, the Josh Allen Justin Herbert situation is all it's such a dysfunctional situation. The Cincinnati Bengals, that's a season-ending QB injury, but I think they have no regrets about it. The money is the money, And even Dallas, remember when Dak Prescott's deal was considered ridiculous and was going to hold the team back? Well, look at Dallas now. Not to say that they've beaten anybody, even though I hate that, because I think anybody could get you on any given day, including the Washington Commanders on Sunday. It doesn't matter who you are. That team can get you if you're in the NFL. So I don't think it's about a matter of when you do have that contract that you pay to the quarterback and you're just happy that you have the quarterback because the quarterback gives you a chance. If you don't have the quarterback, you don't have the chance. You're wasting your time and your seasons. And I think we should have established that for the last 20 years. Are we not on board on that one? Now, the question and the concern is to that quarterback. I say, yeah. Now, do I need to see December eliteness? Yes. But I don't doubt he's going to bring it. He brought it in college. He's going to bring it in the NFL. Poupard just remains silent.
It's opinion. And for me, I'm going to maintain, I need to see it. Haven't seen it, need to see it.
Mm-hmm. Mike.
Sorry, Mike. I didn't mean to. Tours about playing Tannehill. It's not Tannehill at all. Nobody ever
up in Vegas, missing the first 45 minutes. Just wanted to say, hey, and thank you guys for everything you do. You're part of my everyday routine. And Mike, we appreciate everybody who watches. I just realized, and I'll share this on the I'll share this to our family here, to our All Dolphins family. Like, I just looked at the numbers of what we're doing audio wise, and I was like, holy crap! Like, we're at 13,000 downloads a day, which is like ridiculous considering where we are on YouTube. And either way you watch or listen, we generally prefer YouTube because they pay better. We still don't know what that 5 reasons check looks like yet. And this is just a matter of transparency. We're still waiting for the first check. But
oversharing. That's okay.
I'm an oversharer. You know that.
Yes, you are.
I mean, but it's part of what connects people to me. I overshare, but I'm a very transparent person, and part of what connects people to me.
Okay, I'm sorry. I want to. I apologize. No, go ahead. Finish your statement.
No, I just want to say thank you to everybody who listens to us on a regular basis. Even if you give it 5 minutes, it matters. It truly, truly does matter, because this is how I support myself in this very difficult time. This is how Alan supports his family, and he's got 2 kids that are going to college soon. He doesn't look
going to college?
You done with the podcast?
I'm sorry?
You done with the podcast?
No, I'm not done with the podcast. Sorry.
Yeah.
Omar, I got to talk to my son's doing some absolutely talking about YouTube. He's doing some crazy stuff on YouTube that's completely outrageous. That
how come he ain't helping us on YouTube?
We got to find a way to get this kid like some pub. I mean, he's got a video. He's got 54,000 views.
He makes videos?
It's 58,000 now.
58,000. Sorry.
What video is this?
It makes animation videos with an app that creates music, and it's like he's getting great comments, but he's only got 300 subscribers, and we need to jack that up. In fact, Eric's going to tell me the name of his YouTube channel. I'm going to ask everybody who's got
tweet it out so I could tweet it out. Anyway, we support Eric. We support family over here.
And by the way, this is me sharing. I'm not nearly as transparent as Omar is, and maybe I need to be more. So I was born in Canada, and sorry.
The real statement of all Jamie says, the real statement of all Tua, Herbert, and other QBs hate is, whom are you replacing the QB with? There are only 10 to 15 franchise quarterbacks in the league and 32 teams. So 17 to 22 teams are always looking. Go ahead.
I want to address this one. Okay, here's the thing, Jamie. Nobody's saying dump the guy. There's a difference between dumping the guy and then making a long-term commitment. If the thing with Ryan, when the Dolphins had Ryan Tannehill, it wasn't like he was a dumpster fire. It was pretty clear to see he wasn't going to get you where you wanted to go.
And you shouldn't have paid him until he showed you a sign that he was going to get you. This is different because you have no choice.
No. You have no choice. They have the 5th-year option next year. They have the franchise tag the following year. That's 2 more years.
And a money crisis today.
I understand that. But to me, you do not throw money on a long-term. You do not make that kind of commitment long-term unless you know for sure your guy can take you where you want to go. And if
And your
not,
alternative is what?
then your alternative is to go year by year. And don't tell me opportunities don't come up from time to time that it's not, it's like don't tell me that if the Dolphins don't extend Tua for 5 or 6 years, whatever, that they'll never have the chance to get.
Nobody. You could extend it for 5 or 6 years. Only 3 of it is real. They're gonna make a commitment to him for those 3 years. The rest of the money, the contract is fake. You know that. And they're gonna do that to send the right message to their team. Now, you could make him play on the 5th-year contract. If I'm Tua, I'm not playing on the 5th-year contract. And bottom line is, you pay me, or we got beef. And they never want beef with a quarterback.
Omar, if he balls out in December, I'm with you 100%. What
I'm telling you, you don't have a choice.
But and to me, you do not you make that commitment if Tua has the same kind of December, January that his career numbers say he's had. I'm sorry, I disagree with you there. Okay. Anyway, and this is not to say that's not what the Dolphins are going to do, because I agree with you, their pattern, and they seem to be like completely all in on Tua, and that's fine. I'm just saying, for me, if the December numbers
everybody here is a Tuanon member. Steve Ross, Chris Greer, Marvin Allen, Mike McDaniel, offensive coordinator. Everybody's card carrying Tuanon member. He getting paid, brother.
Okay, and I don't disagree with you there. I am saying his career numbers right now are 500 record and 81 passer rating. If the Dolphins go 3-3 the rest of the regular season and Tua has an 81, I am not going to be happy camper if they extend him, because then yes, I think it will be a mistake.
You can pout just like you pouted when Ryan Tannehill got his contract extension. Oh, disappear. You are. And I'm not saying I want him to struggle in December. I'm not saying that he will struggle in December. I believe he will be the quarterback he's destined to be. But I'm also telling you, even if he don't, I think the only thing that stops him from getting paid is an injury. That's it.
Okay, let's move on. And again, we said what we said. Do you think Herbert's good enough to win a good enough quarterback to win a Super Bowl? Yes. Unequivocally, yes.
Based on what? You don't think Tua is a good enough quarterback to win a Super Bowl?
I didn't say that. That's
okay.
Say
it's Tua a good enough quarterback to win a Super Bowl?
I don't know. I have a lot more.
So, okay, you can say Herbert unequivocally yes. And then when Tua is having a better season, with a team having a better success, you say, I don't know.
Team game, dude.
Better team. So what about the guy who can't even put together a winning team, makes you say with a 10,000-yard receiver in Keenan Allen?
Put Justin Herbert on this team. Where do you think they are? Put Tua on the Chargers. Where do you think they are? No, it's a nice. Don't give me that look. Go ahead, answer the question.
I think Tua is a better quarterback, and I think they're further ahead with Tua than with Herbert. And I'm not an arm queen. I've never been an arm queen.
I will say, I'm going to try to be polite here, because I'm thinking of 2 words and they're not Merry Christmas, because I find that my God, what an obnoxious comment. But I'm going to be very polite, just because some of us prefer our quarterbacks to have strong arms, not at the cost of something else. But if I say I prefer if my quarterbacks, all things being equal, have a better arm than not, that does not make me an arm queen. I don't value arm strength over everything, Omar. And
did not say you did.
That's what when you say.
But if I'm going to take accuracy, reading the field, precision passing, Tua edges Herbert out in all of those categories, and I take all of them over arm.
Not sure I completely agree with you there, but okay.
Okay.
That's fine. And I would tell you, probably Herbert can make every throw that Tua can make, and there are certain throws that Herbert makes that Tua can because of the lack of arm strength.
You're absolutely correct.
But it's fine. I'm not, and I don't object. and I'm not even giving you pushback to you saying that Tua is better than Herbert. That's fine. But the Arm Queen comments, like, put up a question. I'm asking my son to do something for me here.
Flores.
Name his YouTube channel.
I think this is disrespectful. Flores years are deleted. They're not deleted. And it's a very important element and part of Dolphins history because this franchise is on the verge of having 4 straight winning seasons, and 2 of those were produced by Brian Flores. I have never said that Brian Flores is a bad coach. I will never say that Brian Flores is a bad coach. I feel like Brian Flores was dealt a bad hand, and he was dealt a bad hand because of his poor personality and people skills. So, and where he came from. He's got to unlearn a lot of things that he learned from Bill Belichick that doesn't survive in today's NFL. But you will never hear me say that Brian Flores is a bad coach. And I do believe that one day he deserves the opportunity to become a head coach again. What he has to do is show me the offensive staff that he's going to be hiring, and make sure that it's above board. And 2, he's got to relate to this generation of players and learn how to treat people differently and better.
I'm going to put that over there. If you have, Eric, this is good for what? Teenagers usually, mostly? Mm-hmm. If you have teenage kids, check this out, please.
You got to put it on Twitter so you could.
I am going to put on Twitter also. It's some really, really good stuff.
Wait, hold on. You're going to put my view on.
Poopy's getting an extension. Ross loves too. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Can Claypool be a tight end? I think Claypool is a tight end. He's a slot receiver tight end. He's Mike Gesicki. Like, let's digest that. Okay. What?
He's Mike Gesicki, except he can block a little.
Yes, correct. And play special teams.
Okay.
Magic Mike, Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, or Dolphins will represent the AFC versus the 49ers, Eagles. Agree?
I'm not sure I'd be quick to dismiss the Cowboys yet. I think I'd throw in the Cowboys as another possibility in the NFC. I'm not buying Detroit. Their defense is too bad. But
I feel like he's missing an AFC team.
Oh, Jaguars?
Maybe that's it. But
the Browns with Joe Flacco at the controls.
Oh, my gosh.
Don't poo-poo it. Don't poo-poo it.
Joe Flacco is done, finished, toast. Stick a fork in him.
You sure about that?
Yes, I'm positive. I've watched him for like 4 years. He should have been out the league like 3 years ago.
Okay, we shall find out.
Old man Jeb, and I got to get out of here soon. That's a warning. Who likely starts on the line this week? I'm going with Teron Armstead next to Lester Cotton, next to
Connor Williams.
And then I'm going with Liam Eichenberg over Robert Hunt. And then I'm going with Austin Jackson.
Okay, I have Robert Hunt over Liam Eichenberg, and I have some breaking news.
What's that?
Chris Brooks will not be activated this week. He's just been downgraded to out.
Ooh. Okay. That's interesting.
How's that? Some bonus breaking news here. Yeah, I disagree with Omar. I think Robert Hunt's gonna actually start.
You think this is the week that he's gonna make his return?
Yeah, it's the same pattern with Connor Williams. Connor Williams was active, didn't play for one game, and he was active the next game.
I think that there's no benefit. I mean, there's no downside to resting him one more week. And Robert Hunt is a very valuable piece and a key piece. And I think that you can get through this game with Liam. And I think Liam is trending up. And you know how critical I am of Liam.
Oh, no question. But
I think the curiosity there is you need to see that. You need to see that. Well, even though this is a real big physical interior defensive line. So let me abort my previous thought process and say, yeah, Robert Hunt, you know what? Come on back. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm in for you. So what about everyone says Tua is first read QB accurate or not? Man, stop. Please. That's part of the offense.
Obviously, and he's more effective if he can go to his first read, but that's every quarterback in the NFL.
I'm sorry. Tua is one of the best quarterbacks in terms of reading the field and reading defenses. Quarterbacks will tell you there's very few who are better than him. And the people who are better than him are Aaron Rodgers.
Who will say that?
Quarterbacks in this league, in the NFL.
Who has said that?
Daniel Jeremiah. Is it Daniel Jeremiah? Yeah, Daniel Jeremiah. RG3.
Oh, you said quarterbacks. Daniel Jeremiah was not a quarterback.
Not Daniel Jeremiah. Played for the Lions.
Dan Orlovsky.
Dan Orlovsky.
Which, by the way, since this was brought up, I don't know if it was social media in the mailbag or whatever that people are complaining about, like the national media always dumping on Tua. No. Dan Orlovsky is a huge fan. Robert Griffin's a huge fan. Emmanuel
Riddick is a huge fan. Emmanuel Agba is a huge fan.
Brent Bollinger is a huge fan.
But Tuanon has this us mentality where you think everything is negative about Tua. You know what Tua is? Tua is clicks. And Tua is people. Tua, when people talk about Tua, it brings clicks. Tua is a top 5 click generator, eyeball creator in the NFL. That means people will constantly be talking about him. So get used to it, Dolphin fans. You're relevant, which is exactly why Steve Ross will give him the big fat check, and Poupard will be angry.
I will be angry if I don't see him as deserving it. That's all.
Correct.
Because, shocker, I want the Dolphins to succeed big.
Yes.
And here we go.
And understand, for the Dolphins to succeed big, everybody makes more money. Like,
including us.
Hope people realize that they win, we make more money.
And it's more fun to cover big games.
Don't think we sit here cheer against them. No, your success means more money for us. Flores' supposed adherence to integrity is hilarious to me, considering he cut his teeth in New England where cheating was good. Listen, Flores was so low on the level when the cheating was 4 levels ahead of where Flores is. Yeah,
oh, interesting.
Using Madden terminology, who would guys on the team label as the hit stick? Man.
No, I like that question actually.
It's a hit stick. Deshaun Elliott. Deshaun Elliott's on.
Oh my God, we did it. Answered the same thing at the same time. We are an unmarried couple. Oh my Lord, not good.
Right.
How about $5 to get you guys? Thanks, David. I'm not sure that's going to cut it, but oh Lordy, we have too much fun on this. Oh God, dude, I'm gonna acknowledge this dude here. I'm assuming you're the same account on Twitter. Hat tip for your perseverance.
Tua's already acknowledged that he loves the old school throw, but everybody loves old school.
I know, but
it's not coming back.
I know, but this gentleman here or lady here, you want to talk about persistent about that. But actually, I find it funny. Rod, we know the stars who are the 3 biggest unsung heroes on the team.
Okay, let me start.
Go ahead.
Raheem Mostert I don't know if you consider him a star, does not get the credit that he deserves.
Unsung hero. Okay.
As a player. I think Kader Kohou, who earlier this season was taking a lot of lumps because he was playing probably out of his depth. Very, very good right now in his role as a nickel cornerback. And my third unsung star, Connor Williams, because it's majestically beautiful, except for the snapping. Connor Williams' film is super sexy, except for snapping. I'm so past this. I'm so over the snapping. I'm sorry. I think if he was playing with better guards, you'd see a lot more downfield blocking. If he actually felt like he could trust the guards to do their jobs. And right now, with what's next to him right now, can't trust it. But I want to see them get to the point where Connor Williams is free. They have the guards that could do their one-on-one assignments, and Tehran is out there. Everything slanted the other way, and then Connor Williams is just going downfield, second level blocking, attacking a linebacker, creating that crease, and Raheem or Devon is running through it. Every beautiful play that you've ever seen the Miami Dolphins from a run game standpoint, look for Connor Williams, and you will see how majestic it looks. I apologize if that was kind of R-rated, but I love line play.
No, really? Since when?
Oh, it's so sexy. It's
Okay. Well, I have to go in a different direction after that. I mean, I can't top that. Because I don't look at offensive linemen as being sexy. In fact, they call them the big uglies for a reason. So anyway, they do. That's not my term. They call them the big uglies. I would go. I'm going to try to throw out different names than you did. Durham Smythe will be one guy.
the janitor.
Not catching a ton of balls, but he is very good with his blocking.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would go with Cater. I have to top Matthew Cater, who a lot with his tackling. The dude does not miss tackles. And I'm going to throw out a special teams guy only because the special teams have not been an abomination this year like they were last year, other than the kickoff return against Denver, which didn't matter. And I'm going to go Justin Bethel, Duke Riley were the guys who constantly will always lead in terms of special team snaps game after game after game.
Consistency. Okay.
Yes, they are consistent. What else we got? We want to tackle as many quick questions as possible.
Yeah. McDaniel is a perfect coach for Tua. Do you think Tua can do well in a different offense under different leadership? Could that factor into his contract discussions? I don't know.
I also think I don't think it would, because I think it's a marriage. I think if they extend Tua, and McDaniel extension is not far behind.
Yeah, I think they one and the other. You already heard on Hard Knocks, McDaniel's talking about his contract extension, and he wants a big, fat, blinged out Woody Johnson chain. You think our D-line is top 10, even without
question? It's a trick question.
You're already top 10.
It's a trick question, Omar. Come on, man.
Yes.
Jalen Phillips is not a defensive lineman. Ha! He's a linebacker. So the question is the front seven top 10 even without JP? Yeah, I think so. You just had an abundance there with Wilkins, Sealer, Raekwon, who's done a good job, Chubb, Phillips, Andrew Van Ginkel. Now you remove Phillips from the equation. I think it's still a borderline top 10.
Oh, I gotta bring this one out. My grandma.
Unless you're 5 years old, I'm gonna take offense to this.
Poop is happily married.
I was gonna say, tell Nana I'm happily
Oh gosh.
I don't know if I should be flattered or offended by that.
I don't think Herbert was playing that great last year when he got his contract extension. What was his passer rating in December? Oh, don't start poop on that. Oh my God.
I actually wrote it down because I knew it would come up at some point. If you get Omar, hold the fort for a second. I'm going to go get the paper on which.
Okay, I'll find another question. But yes, Poupard, he's crazy with those numbers and stats, and trust me, he looked it up. Yes, and I believe it's pretty impressive what he's done in December. Omar says he's a Trench fan. I do not know what he sees. It took weeks to get him to lay off 74, who's been playing well. Okay, all right, cool.
I'm back.
Yes, 74.
Justin Herbert last year, the Chargers were 4-2 in December, January. He had a 94.2 passer rating.
Better than Tua.
I was going to say, which is better than 81. So,
X hasn't done much this year. X will get spanked by Diggs.
When was this? What, you mean when they rematch against Buffalo in Week 18?
Yeah, apparently. I guess. I don't know. I'm sorry. Stefan flat out told X, I'm glad you're not covering me. So I don't really.
You know the weird part about that too?
What's that?
Like if you remember in 2020 when Byron Jones got hurt and they decided to match up, he was matching up with Stephon Diggs one-on-one, and then he got hurt and they stuck Noah on Stephon Diggs instead of having X on him.
I remember that. They put X on the speed guy because Noah didn't have any speed. No offense, Noah.
Well, and then X got beat deep also.
Yeah. I've never said that X is flawless. I'm trying to look up right now what his opposing passer rating, what quarterback's passer rating with him in defense is. I'm struggling to find it at the present moment, but I'll get there. Find another question, Poupard.
Do we want to go there, Omar? Do we want to go there?
What go where?
Why did you and Big O break up? Both you and I. Do we want to go there or no?
Because I'll answer it very quickly. Poupard, Big O told us we'd never be a success here doing this on our own, and we make more money in one day than we would make for a month from Poupard. Continue. Go ahead.
And
was that too transparent?
Well, it was. There's more to it than that for me. It became too adversarial. It's like if I'm going to have a guest on a podcast, I'm not going to talk over him and tell him he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about if I disagree with him. So,
okay,
how's that for transparent?
Yeah, he's still a good guy. One of the pioneers in this business. All absolutely respect him. And
he knows his stuff. I just not necessarily a huge fan of the approach, but he knows his stuff. I will give him that.
All right. How can you?
Peter, sorry. What are Washington's defensive weaknesses? We will be focusing on ground game. Are they weaker against the pass? Keep up the great work. Go Habs.
Their edges are weak, so they're not going to prevent much of a pass rush. Their interior of the defensive line is godly good. Probably not as good as Sealer and Wilkins, but it's pretty damn good. Their cornerbacks have have breakdowns all the time, so their secondary doesn't play in unison. So Mike McDaniels is going to be focused on causing and creating breakdowns by putting together a lot of motion and a lot of Tyreek, and everybody's going to have to guess who's got Tyreek and who doesn't have Tyreek, and that's how the Dolphins are going to beat the snot out of them.
I was going to answer very simply what are Washington's defensive weaknesses by saying yes. They're 30th in the NFL in points allowed. No, are they points allowed? Sorry, I forget. I think they're last in points allowed. They're last in turnover ratio, 30th in yards allowed, but they do have 2 stud defensive tackles. That's basically what they have.
Okay. I'm trying to get to make sure that we answered every question because I'm actually going to a vegan festival today. I've been losing a lot of weight. Okay. I'm eating healthier, or actually not eating.
That's unhealthy, bro.
Such is life. I'm losing weight. It helps. Omar,
healthy. We need you healthy for these podcasts.
I'm not hungry, so I'm not eating. This is a question that we need to answer because is Ertz even a consideration to being part of the team? It's funny. On Friday, Poupard missed this because I don't think he is there. We were walking by, going inside the locker room, and I believe it was Joe Shad who saw Chris Greer on the phone, and Joe Shad said to him, "Hey, so you calling? Is that Zach Ertz on the phone?" And he laughed. I do not think that the Dolphins need Zach Ertz primarily because they have Chase Claypool. And if I'm going to figure out and find a role for Chase Claypool, would be Zach Ertz's role. I think Chase Claypool is more of an H-back slot receiver, pseudo tight end than he is a wide receiver. And I would be using Ertz in the exact same role. I don't think the Dolphins have a roster spot to elevate Chris Brooks, much less add a Zach Ertz. And I think you need to elevate Chris Brooks more than you need to add Zach Ertz.
I'm gonna chime in. I don't disagree with what you said necessarily, but they do have 2 roster spots that they can create easily. Robbie Chosen, Eli Apple. While I do think the Dolphins could use Ertz because he's a very good pass rusher, and then he's got, if you believe in such things, he's got playoff experience. He's won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. Mm-hmm. However, I kind of get the feeling he's gonna wind up either in Baltimore, where they lost Mark Andrews, and he can play a big role in that offense because Lamar likes throwing Mark Andrews.
Good catch.
Or he could go back to the Eagles, where Dallas Goedert is dealing with a farm injury and he's not supposed to play, for example, tomorrow. I don't even know. They played the 49ers tomorrow.
A lot of times when a guy is released this late, it's primarily because he was requested his release. So don't be surprised to think that this is not
his request.
Yeah, this is not him getting out so he can go join a team that he wants to join. And unfortunately, that's not the Miami Dolphins. Omar,
Well, because I don't think, I mean, I think anybody from the outside would look at the Dolphins, and especially if you're a pass catcher, going to be like, oh, I'm going to go watch Tyreek and Jalen Waddle gobble up all the catches. No, thanks. No, I mean, it's true.
You're being real, and that's honesty. Holy crap. Let me get this in because I don't even know if we saw this. Love the podcast. Been following Omar for a long time and love hearing the unvarnished opinions. Chris, we thank you greatly, tremendously. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And how long have you been following me, Chris? And if you haven't, start now.
Yeah.
No, let me go back very quickly to the other point I was making.
Okay.
And there's a lot of question of like, and we addressed this, and I've thought about this of like, Dolphins need a third receiving option to emerge.
They do.
Hold on. They do if something happens to Hill and Waddle, because dude, what's been one of the big complaints on the offense this season? Waddle's not getting enough catches.
Yeah, but he's getting.
Now we're going to bring in somebody else. If Hill and Waddle are in the lineup and healthy, you know damn well that they're going to get 80 to 90% of the targets. I'm exaggerating, but most of the targets, and the Dolphins can succeed that way. And Omar can shake his head as much as he wants. I said what I said. Okay.
I believe that there's a world where you can take all of the secondary deep, and then you can destroy a team underneath. Take all of the secondary deep, Waddle and Tyreek running the 9 routes, and destroy linebackers with tight ends and slot receivers and running backs catching balls out the backfield and making one guy miss. Dolphins are not doing that lately.
Why?
Why? You don't want my answer. I'm not going to tell you to you.
Because they want to feed Tyreek. Because they need to feed Tyreek.
No.
They need him on that wall. What?
No.
Wrong movie. No? Okay. No, I do want your answer. Go for it.
I don't think they have the protection to have the time to find. Stop it! I told you didn't want my answer, and I gave you my answer, and then you act like this. I want a mint. I was right because I told you you didn't want my answer.
Yes, you were right.
All right.
You were right.
Sean asked, where has Craycraft been? Tua loves getting the ball to him, but he's been non-existent since his return. Bro, he's been back like 2 games.
And loves getting the ball to him. Do we want to check how many catches he got in the year?
No. He doesn't love getting the ball to him.
No. Kyle, I know you've been asked a ton, but do you see us in the Super Bowl if we hit a stride? Well, how big's a stride?
What's a strike?
The stride.
Oh, stride.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If they play great and don't lose games, they'll go to the Super Bowl. I mean,
the recipe for making it to the Super Bowl? Host every game.
The offensive line.
Host every game.
No, I mean, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be a smart ass. Sometimes I can't help myself. But Kyle, yes, to answer your question, yes. If they get
my
cranking,
sometimes comment.
If they get cranking, yes, they absolutely have the roster to get to the Super Bowl. And this is where what?
I'm laughing at this. Billy says Tyreek is our tight end and our wide receiver one serve.
You're not that far off.
Hey, man, if he breaks 2,000, which is his goal, and it's without a doubt Mike McDaniel's goal, it is what it is.
No, and here's the thing. I'm sure you've gotten those comments on Twitter as well. They're focusing too much on Tyreek. Okay, sure. They're still number 1 in NFL in total offense, and they're number 2 in scoring offense. So is it such a bad thing? You have the most dynamic weapon in the NFL. I think you probably should squeeze the hell out of that juice.
I agree with you. On that note, let's end the stream because we've been going an hour and 40 minutes. So that's 100 minutes of podcasts.
That was fun.
It was. I enjoyed it. And hopefully we will do it again later. Tomorrow, right after the game, immediately after the game. As you know, we will join you right after the game, and hopefully we can dissect this Dolphins a win. Hopefully it's a win, because if it's a loss, it might derail everything that this team wants to accomplish. Agreed.
Hopefully the offensive line doesn't let the team down.
You laugh. I'm dead serious.
I do laugh, and I predicted. I did on alldolphins.com the comprehensive preview, and I predicted the final score of 32-17 for the Dolphins. I have a very hard time seeing them, not producing big numbers offensively in this particular game.
Mm-hmm. And we will see who is right. You can find all our coverage on alldolphins.com. We thank you guys for watching. We thank you for participating. We thank you for showing us the love that you do. Like, subscribe, rate, listen. 5 minutes tops. It benefits us tremendously. And we love you, and we thank you for your support. We'll
Enjoy the Vegan Fest, Omar, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.